It's been 10 years since the first Mass Effect was released. It's hard to believe that it's been so long and that you've had this series with us for such a short amount of time, considering the amount of impact that it's had on the science fiction community and the video game and role-playing community. So I'm going to take a few minutes to talk about what this game means to me. In my first few playthroughs of Mass Effect, I made a lot of mistakes. In particular, I've got to say, my attempts at character creation were atrocious. I would continually make horrendous characters to the point that I decided it was probably best to stick with a default character. Now, I personally played more with a male character, so I got used to Mark Mear's voice acting. Though I have played as female Shepard a few times, and Jennifer Hale is a very excellent voice actress, but I just prefer Mark Meer simply through the fact that I played through as the male character more often than not. But I made another noticeable mistake during one of my earlier playthroughs, and that was getting Rex killed by Ash on Vermeer. I made the bad mistake of not earning enough loyalty with him, and I think I basically was just so excited about the game, I essentially rushed through the main story missions, because I essentially thought, well, I can get through these comfortably enough without having to worry too much, which in turn ended up with basically Ash shooting him, which was quite a shame, though it made it a little bit less awkward a few minutes later when Ash would then get herself vaporized in nuclear fire. Yes, bad command by me. But in future games, I learned that I could save Rex by either doing his quest, or by just doing things that he quite liked, which was a positive overall. Now, one of the major things that people talk about when they talk about Mass Effect is the characters. And we got to see in this first Mass Effect characters that would eventually become essentially good friends. Liara, Garrus, Tali. There's obviously Ash and Kaidan, but to be honest, it's the alien squad mates that would become our mainstays and our main companions and friends throughout the series. I mean, I normally romance Liara, so she was normally my favourite, though I have particularly soft spots for Garrus and Tali as they go forward. Obviously, the relationship with Tali and Garrus was essentially expanded further as they stuck with you in Mass Effect 2, which was a shame. Mass Effect 2 almost cut back Liara's relationship, even though we did have the Shadow Broker DLC, which, brought it back in the end. But still, there's even more likes of Rex, Joker, Captain Anderson, who are just superb characters, who become, that's the thing, the characters are so well written and so in depth. They do really become almost like actual friends, and the reality is because you can, choose your dialogue, it's quite interesting that you can pretty much guess what their reactions are going to be, which was, quite fun. Mass Effect seemed to come at just about the perfect time, as Star Wars and Star Trek had been struggling with their recent releases, Star Wars with the prequel series, and Star Trek with the Enterprise television show. It seemed like Mass Effect came out at the right time for all science fiction fans, especially gamers, as it seems that there isn't too many in terms of science fiction enterprises or franchises for them. Since Mass Effect's come around, it has become more popular for science fiction franchises to emerge, but it is still probably the most popular and most well-known science fiction gaming franchise. I would say in this sort of time period, probably the only other science fiction property that I can really think about is the reimagined Battlestar Galactica. And obviously, I think that those both series came at the perfect time and really cemented themselves in the early millennium science fiction culture. I think that's why Mass Effect has been able to stick around through the hearts of gamers, science fiction gamers in particular, and how it can continue to grow. Even though obviously it has stumbled with Andromeda, fingers crossed it can still come back sometime in the future. In my opinion, one of the key successes for Mass Effect was the soundtrack by Sam Hulick. I know he wasn't obviously involved totally in the third game, but he laid down a fantastic legacy for the overall Mass Effect series. I don't think Mass Effect would be quite as fondly remembered if it wasn't for the music. Obviously, the characters and story are perhaps more important, but the soundtrack is absolutely vital for the overall theme of the series, and they did just a superb job of creating the soundtrack. The two in particular that I really enjoy is the main theme and the victory theme, which appear quite often in the series. I'll just play them now. So what you hear first of all will be Victory, followed by the Mass Effect theme. I think for Mass Effect to return to its prominence in science fiction gaming, it's going to have to go back to the original Milky Way galaxy, and that means BioWare will have to choose what the ending will be. I know this will cause some complications, but I think it's the only way for Mass Effect to really grow again. They can do a prequel series, I suppose, but it really is just delaying the inevitable. Andromeda did not go over well, and it'd be best just to avoid that altogether, get back to the Milky Way galaxy, get back to the Asaris and Krogans and Festia and Iliums, and just get back to the original universe. I think perhaps just picking a Destroy universe, going say 1,000 years in the future, because at that point, most of the characters that we used to know will have gone. There's a possibility that there's a couple, for example like Grunt, Liara, might be still around. We don't know how long Krogans actually live, so there's a half a chance maybe Rex could still be around. But again, they have to go back to the Milky Way, and they're going to have to put their A-team on it, the one that's I know they're on this Anthem Destiny thing, but I think BioWare needs to concentrate on their first-person RPGs if they actually want to return to that. I mean, if EA doesn't want to anymore, it's a possibility, and it's a pretty sad possibility, that Mass Effect could fade away, which I really would not want that to happen. We had plenty of good memories with the Mass Effect series, and it would be such a shame if it ended on such a sour note. Thanks for watching this Mass Effect video. If you have enjoyed this, please subscribe, and we'll be sure to bring more like this in the future. Why not leave a comment about your favourite part of the Mass Effect series, or even what you think could happen in the future of Mass Effect. I hope to hear from you soon. Goodbye.